Welcome everybody, thanks for joining us this afternoon. Just a couple of housekeeping items before we start. So as attendees, you're all on mute this afternoon. We are going to be recording the session. There is the opportunity to ask any questions. If you go to your GoToMeeting pane, you can see, you can type any questions for us. We'll get visibility of those during the session. And at the end of the session, we'll answer any questions that have come through to us over the course of the next half an hour or so. So, in terms of this afternoon's agenda, we're going to start with some introductions to ourselves at Catalyst, to our partners at Celigo, and to our customer at Lights for Fun. We're going to talk around some of what we would see as the kind of the main business objectives for typical online retailers, and take a look at typical infrastructure and some of the challenges that exist around those infrastructures and around those organisations in terms of automating your omnichannel operations. And we're going to bring all of this to life today through Kieran and Federica's input, really talking to you about the work that they did in conjunction with their partners during a recent project go live during the early part of this year. So that's what we're going to touch on today. So in terms of introductions, I am Mark Godliman. I'm the Managing Director at Catalyst IT. 20 years an IT project manager and business leader, really focusing on IT change and business change, and helping organisations getting the most out of their investment in technology and the work that they do on projects. I'm joined to my left by Stephen Saunders, who's our head of the NetSuite practice here at Catalyst. So more than 15 years experience implementing NetSuite, primarily in manufacturing, wholesale and online retail sectors, but a wealth of experience, over 120, 130 NetSuite implementations. So Stephen's going to be talking in some technical detail around the Lights for Fun solution a little bit later on today. Just very quickly, in terms of Catalyst and who we are, so we're a UK-based NetSuite ERP and Celigo implementation partner. As I've said, we focus on those three main sectors, and because of that focus, we've got very deep and broad consulting and development experience, and lots of sector referenceability and expertise. We're very dynamic in our approach. Our implementations are rapid and very agile, and we're very used to working with high growth teams and with project teams that whose requirements and understandings evolve over the course of our projects. You can see on the slide there some organisations that we work with, from a couple of PLCs all the way down into the mid-market, and there'll be no doubt lots of organisations on there that you don't recognise, but lots of referenceability, lots of NetSuite implementations, and lots of NetSuite users that are supported by Catalyst on a day-to-day basis.
Hey, thanks, Mark. It's great to be here. Welcome, everyone. My name is Carl Pezzel. I'm the sales director for Celigo. Been in the ERP space for about 25 years, and my current role, I support our partners, Catalyst IT. A few words about Celigo. Celigo has been around for about 10 years, and we have a number of large companies that you can see on the screen. Work with 2,600 companies, many of whom run NetSuite. Within that group, we have about 1,500 folks who are selling online. These can be wholesale distributors or folks who distribute exclusively through e-commerce. We have a lot of deep expertise, particularly in order management and ERP, and a great wealth of experience with NetSuite specifically. Thanks. Celigo has integrated with literally thousands of systems. We have pre-built connectors to over 140 that you can see some of those on the screen there. I'll talk more about that later, but in addition to some of the logos that you see on the screen, we also work with a number of what we call universal technologies. So essentially, Celigo can integrate anything.
Okay, thanks, Carl.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kieran Eblett. I'm the Finance Director at Lights for Fun, and I was the board sponsor for our recent NetSuite and Celigo project. So we went live with NetSuite on the 1st of July. The project started 1st of March of this year, and really excited to share with you a little bit about our journey over those 4 months and then the 4 months since we've been live. I'm joined by Federica Invernizzi, who's our technical manager at Lights for Fun. So she has day-to-day responsibility for the NetSuite and the Celigo systems, and she was our point of contact with Catalyst and Celigo through the whole integration project. In terms of Lights for Fun, we're one of those solely online retailers that Carl just mentioned a moment ago. We are a online retailer of indoor and outdoor decorative lighting. A big part of our market is the Christmas market, so getting to a really busy time at the moment. You can see some of our famous ranges on the screen there. We sell broadly 50-50 between here in the UK and globally, so primarily North America and the key European markets, so Germany, France, Spain and Italy, but all based here out of North Yorkshire with our team of 40 covering all of those markets. And a big part of our why is really providing those products, but providing them to our customers with great customer service and providing a really great place for our employees to work.
Thanks, Kieran. So we tried to distill down for you guys today what we think are fairly typical business objectives for online retailers like Lights for Fun. So we think that you want to be efficient and fast. You want your customers to have a great customer service experience. We recognise that it's a very competitive landscape out there for many of you, so you want to be competitive on price, and you want your customers to experience high levels of customer satisfaction, so you want to be flexible, and you want those people to talk to their friends and their associates about their experience of working with you, so lots and lots of customer referral. But ultimately, from Kieran's standpoint and from the standpoint of the leadership teams that we work with, you want to leverage technology to drive down the cost of your sales and ultimately improve your bottom line profitability. So just a little bit of insight. In terms of the omnichannel operation, we've tried to bring this together in one easy to view slide for you there, and I'm sure that as you look at that image, you recognize your organization with an ERP at the center, lots of marketplaces, websites sat around the periphery, maybe some other applications supporting specific functions like returns or support, and many of you will have your own warehouses, or you will be operating stock through third-party warehouses. So, this may be today a manual infrastructure with lots of manual interaction between these systems. What we're going to talk about today is how you can put NetSuite at the heart of that, and how you can leverage Celigo to really automate those processes and to be able to scale above and beyond what's probably capable in today's organization.
Okay, thanks. We talk a lot about integration flows and data moving around, but really from the point of view of our customers, it's about business processes. And if you look on the screen, you're thinking about that process of receiving inventory all the way through to shipping it out. And that's what's important. Some of the challenges that people have using disparate systems really comes down to how can I automate that process? I have challenges with manual data of entry, delays in fulfillment. When I'm not working properly, I've got errors and lack of visibility as to where my stock is in a given process, or lack of visibility into my inventory. The results can be severe. We have costly overhead. We have to look at the experience of our customers. A bad experience leads to drop sales. You get into problems with Amazon, and before you know it, a integration problem becomes a severe business problem. So, as companies are looking to streamline business processes through automation and through integration, there's a couple of different options. A lot of folks will start with just doing manual data transfers. That's going to be the old sneaker net, file uploads, but basically it's slow, it's error prone, and really most importantly, it doesn't scale, right? You can't just be constantly uploading files and what have you. Many folks will look at some of the direct integrations that come with the platforms that they've purchased. These can be sometimes costly. They don't have the visibility into that integration. And then some of the platforms also have sort of native integrations. What Celigo offers is what we call an integration platform as a service, or an iPaaS. If you haven't heard the term before, not a problem. It's relatively new, but it's one of the hottest spaces that's growing in IT right now. So a little bit about our approach. As we saw in that first slide, we can integrate virtually anything with anything. We have about 200 applications that are out of the box, but then a number of other universal technologies, working with FTP or HTTP or anything that has a REST API. A key differentiator of Celigo's iPaaS is that it's, think of it as a citizen integrator, so that a functional user or a non-technical, a tech-savvy business user is someone who can implement and maintain these integrations. Because it's easy to get started, what we see is that our customers have a very fast time to value, which is important when you're trying to be moving fast and trying to get ready for your busy Christmas season that's coming up real soon. So those are some of the key things that we try to develop into our platform and into our iPaaS. And yeah, Kieran, to you. You talk to us more about Lights for Fun.
Yeah, thanks, Carl. So I joined the business about 18 months ago, and it was really clear to me during that initial phase of getting to know the business, and then upon joining and getting to know the team, that whilst we had some great people who had contributed to some real top-line growth over the last 5 to 10 years, there was a real frustration with our current set of systems and our current setup, and it felt like our existing setup was just working against us, when really we wanted to have something that was working with us and was really motivating our team when they came into work every day to do the best job that they were really wanting to do. So what I'd like to do is just talk you through a little bit about the complexity of Lights for Fun. So if I draw you back to the similar slides that Mark shared earlier on in the presentation. So we have 3 websites here in Europe. We have our UK website, our French website, and our German website. We also operate on 6 different Amazon channels: the US, the UK, Germany, France, Italy, and Spain. But within those Amazon channels, we're fulfilling through Amazon, so the FBA. We're also fulfilling ourselves through the Merchant Fulfilled Network. So we've got, at this point now, we've got 3 websites. We've got 6 different ways to market through Amazon. And then we've also got 3 eBay sites that we're selling from. In addition to that, we've got our 2 third-party logistics partners, one here in the UK and a second one in Germany, supplying all of Europe for us. So we've got a whole heap of systems and different entities, all of which are having to talk to each other on a minute-by-minute basis throughout the day. And all of that information is coming back to us here at Lights for Fun, and we need to then send that out. So we really needed something that was going to help us navigate that journey and ensure that all those parties were able to talk to each other, and ensure when they weren't talking to each other, we knew about it. Which brings us on to me just talking through a little around the challenges in a bit more detail. So the first point we've got up there is lack of visibility and minimal control. So from a visibility perspective, with my CFO hat on, from a commercial viewpoint, we had broad idea of where we were with our business in terms of sales, but a heap of the detail that Carl just talked about around inventory, etc., we were struggling with. But also within our business, our teams didn't have visibility of what each other were doing. So we had a purchasing department who were putting those purchase orders down and bringing in stock. We had a sales department that was selling out of stock, but weren't able to see when were we going to be replenished without going to the buying team or even looking at a spreadsheet that the buying team were maintaining. So as well as placing purchase orders, they're also running 7 different spreadsheets to share that information, whereas really what I wanted was to make sure that the whole team had that full visibility of the piece, which also leads us to multiple versions of the truth. So this is where those 7 spreadsheets that I talked about, each said a different number, because not everybody was updating them when they needed to be updating them. So I wanted not only that accessibility and visibility, but just one number. New reports, I've got up there expensive in quotation marks, and there's a reason for that. Yeah, new reports in our old system were difficult to build and we had to get external support. But the biggest cost to our business was because it was so time consuming to build, we stopped asking ourselves some questions because we knew we weren't going to be able to get the answers. So another key challenge was, yeah, we're growing massively, we're doing really well, but are we still missing some opportunities? There's lots of manual data entry going on. I've talked about the spreadsheets, but across our various disparate systems, a whole heap of manual data. And finally, remote access issues. So here we are in 2018 as we were at the time, and if someone's in a hotel in China visiting our suppliers and they don't allow you to connect via VPN, you couldn't have a look at anything to do with our business. So we really needed to address all of those challenges, amongst many others, but they're the key ones that I wanted to share with you today. So I suppose we should spin those on the head and look at what were we trying to achieve. Well, visibility, I've clearly talked about that, but also around visibility about all those connections. So is our 3PL talking to Amazon? Is our 3PL talking to our website? We accept that things don't always work 100%, but I just want to know as soon as they stop working that we need to action it and not find out from our warehouse at the end of the day they haven't received any orders from us. Having one central hub, that one version of the truth that so many people in finance talk about. Moving to agile reporting and ultimately self-service. So not only can we do that reporting in-house, actually our users can do it themselves. Having the automation of our key process flows, so removing all the manual data. And finally, a big one for our teams was all around that ability to introduce flexible working. So, excuse me, we're a team of 40 people, and it's great when we're all in the office together, but like I say, here we are in 2019, and we're very conscious as a business. Not all of our employees need to be in the office at the same time, and also our customers don't deal with us 9 to 5. So why should we expect our teams to necessarily work the traditional 9 to 5? So in terms of our journey over the last year, we started out with a vendor and partner selection. So we were looking at NetSuite, we were looking at SAP, we were looking at Dynamics, and along with that, meeting the various partners at the same time. It was probably 60-40 for us in terms of, yes, the system's clearly important, but we also wanted a partner that really understood our business and understand the way that we wanted to work. And because ultimately you can have the best system in the world, but if it's not implemented very well, then what's the point? So a big thing for us was the partner as well as the actual system. We then went through a probably 6 to 7 week period of what Catalyst calls discovery and business analysis. And that's where Catalyst spent a lot of time with us working through our requirements and making sure that they fully understood what they needed. I mean, great for us that they took that time, but also really good for us because it made us ask ourselves questions that we hadn't asked already. So actually, there were things that we thought we needed that we didn't, and there were things that we did need that we hadn't really thought about. So really important part of the process. And then we gave Catalyst and Celigo a bit of a challenge. We wanted to go live in 4 months. And I've already explained the complexities around that. So we put that challenge to them. They were pretty bold. They said they could do it. And I'm pleased to say that we went live on the 1st of July. And in the last 4 months, it's been a case of really refining a lot of those processes and beginning to look towards the future to think how well we can leverage NetSuite even further in our business as we go forwards. It was Federica who did a whole heap of that work in those 4 months and has since been refining our business processes. So Fed, I think you're going to talk through some of the features in more depth.
So obviously, as Kira mentioned, the new ERP NetSuite gave us a lot of possibilities, but it was important for us to make sure that we actually take all the opportunities that we have. So we decided to go for Celigo to implement integrations between NetSuite and all of our channels. As Kira mentioned, we have Amazon, Shopify, and eBay, which are kind of out-of-the-box product that Celigo offers, but we also integrate with our third-party warehouses via some custom integration that Stephen will mention later on. So I thought, because Amazon and Shopify are our highest volume, we can dive into it and see what the benefits are for us. So obviously, by the integration, we are able to import all our orders in a timely manner. We let the customer know when the order is fulfilled, just as it happens. Our stock levels are true in NetSuite, but also true on our marketplace, and we make sure that we always deliver for the customer and we don't break our promise. And I think as well, the biggest benefit for us was the Amazon settlement reports flow on Celigo. That is helping our accounts team very, very much with reconciling all the payments or the different orders coming from 6 different accounts and different fulfillment methods. The best part of this was that, as Kira said before, the self-service part of it, that we didn't need to rely on somebody to write a really complex code hidden somewhere in the background of our system. We have visibility of the integration, we can customize it to our needs, and if something happens, we have visibility of the errors, so we don't have to just find out after a few days, and we can just react to it and fix it ourselves. But then we also know that we have people that we can rely on when we struggle, when the complexity of the problem is beyond us. The other great thing as well is, because of this seamless integration, because everything is always aligned, then we know that the data we're looking at is actually correct. So rather than having to spend our time actually verifying what we see, we know that what we see is one thing in Shopify, is one thing in Amazon, is one thing in NetSuite. We can actually dive deeper into the data and get a better understanding and see something beyond just numbers and letters, and actually is what we are in our business to do. So understand what we're doing, and rather than just doing it, actually make sure that we do it well and that we do it better, and essentially grow the business by using these tools. I would like then to introduce Stephen now. That was the project lead from Catalyst and helped us make all these happen, and he will give us a bit more details on the technical side.
Thank you very much, Federica. Yeah, so I'm project lead for the implementation, and you've probably picked up on a couple of key messages here: complexity, of which there was a lot, and also the speed that we needed to get it into live as well, into 4 months. Now, normally a project of this complexity just would not have happened in 4 months. There's just far too many moving pieces to make it happen, let alone have all that visibility on one platform. It just wouldn't be a thing that would happen. So without Celigo, that 4-month deadline just would have not rung true. What we was able to do was use some tried and tested connectors that Celigo have got, and they've got hundreds of them, and they range from the Shopify and the Amazon connectors that Federica's been talking about. And you can also do some of the bespoke connections as well. And here we have a couple of slides actually which just talk a little bit about some of the pre-built integration apps, where you have a number of different flows effectively within each of those solutions. And you can see, for example, in the Shopify flow, you know, we've got a customer flow, we've got an inventory flow which pushes and pulls inventory levels of various locations that you can define in NetSuite. The fulfillment flows as well, so you can choose how each of these are actually configured. Like I said, the tried and tested solutions, that when you dip into a flow, it gives you some configuration options. So it's no longer now a case of weeks or months getting these up and running and testing. It's a couple of days at most, where you've got some test transactions flowing through the system that you can then refine over time and make sure everything matches exactly the way that it should do. As well as these tried and tested flows, you do also have the ability as well to do completely bespoke integrations. So pretty much, as Carl said, connecting anything to anything. And with these, we did. There was 2 reasons why we needed these, and those were for the 3PLs. One of the 3PLs was a little bit more modern, and we connected directly through the APIs, and we're just seamlessly dropping XML files back and forth. The other 3PL was, I'd say, a little bit of an older system, if you will, and for those we needed a little bit more hands-on approach where we was transmitting via STP to transmit and drag and drop almost files into a filing cabinet for them that they then picked up, processed the files, and then put another file back in its place that we then lifted with Celigo and then processed in NetSuite. All of those are completely automated solutions that run on scheduled timeframes, and all of these things, all these integration points, whether it would be bespoke or the pre-built connectors, you've got complete visibility all on one Celigo dashboard. So you can see instantly how my eBay's doing, how my website's doing, how my 3PL's doing, and it's all nice, just green spots. And if there's any red areas, you just drill into the detail and it tells you what's going wrong. Again, a completely unique selling point to the Celigo platform.
So I think just to wrap up from a Lights for Fun perspective, a real successful implementation, like I mentioned. We went live on the 1st of July, but more importantly, we went live and things were working. Our transaction flows were pulling through, and here we are 4 months later, and I've got a team back in the office who are really engaged with NetSuite, really comfortable with what they're having to do on a day-to-day basis, really comfortable with Celigo and how they use the program, the Celigo dashboard as well. A team who massively appreciate having that flexibility to work where they need to be and when they need to work. We were able to carry on working with these guys post 1st of July, so we've carried on doing extra builds in the 4 months. We've really, so rather than having mission creep during the implementation phase, we were very clear about minimum functional viability that we wanted for our go live date, but in the last 4 months we've added to the whole platform. So, you know, a really, really great result, and obviously really comfortable with both NetSuite, Catalyst, and the Celigo products. So thanks very much, guys.
Thanks, Gordon. So just to summarise then, you know, the objective of today was to introduce you to Catalyst, to Celigo, and also to Lights for Fun, and not just to talk about generic online retail challenges, but to kind of bring it to life. So introduce you to Lights for Fun, talk about their challenges and their objectives, their roadmap and what they've achieved, just to kind of add a bit of colour, and also to give you all some food for thought, and just to bring to life the fact that there are other options and routes and other opportunities that are available to you as an online retailer. So that was our objective. That's what we fulfilled today in this half an hour session. We've got a couple of questions coming through, so we'll pick those. We'll pick those up now. I think one was from quite early on in the session, actually, because I know a few of us have talked around timeframes in our own slots. But one was around how long did the project take? So just to clarify, we start all of our projects with discovery and analysis, as Kieran talked to. And the reason we do this is the devil is always in the detail. So we want to understand your business. We want you to have an opportunity to understand how we work and whether that's a good fit for you. And out of that discovery process, which is typically 4 to 6 weeks, but usually within a calendar month, we output a business requirements document which says this is exactly how we're going to set up, configure and customize NetSuite for you. And if there are any customizations or any developments that you want doing specifically to wrap NetSuite around your organization, then we specify that at the outset. That allows us to talk about minimum viable functionality, which was what Kieran was talking about. What do we need to have on board within NetSuite on day one to give us what we need to operate our business? So that gets into a bit of scope trading. What do we want to have in? What do we want to put on our roadmap for the future? How long is it going to take? How many hours is Stephen's team going to consume in implementing that? How much elapsed time do we have at our disposal? And when can we go live? So all of these things fall out of discovery, and at the point at which you get to the end of discovery, you can move forward with confidence that you know exactly how much NetSuite and Celigo software is going to cost, you know exactly what our implementation estimates are, and you have a go live date. And we here at Catalyst, we do one go live every month on the 1st, and we typically stack the multiple projects that we're working on so that we do one every month, and we give our customers a slot, and that's what we work towards. As Kieran said, this particular implementation to work in line with peaks and troughs in business went live in 4 months. That couldn't have been achieved without the Celigo platform, given the complexity of the integrations, and that's something that we were very clear on from the outset, and that we delivered against. But this is, our approach is not about trying to cram as much into a shorter period as possible. We recognise that NetSuite and Celigo projects are our day job, so that's what we've got absolute focus on. But our clients are absolutely keeping the wheels turning on their organisation. That's their primary concern, and the project has to fit around business as usual. So you've got to balance the delivery time frame and the time to value versus allowing the organisation to continue to breathe and continue to transact. So that's it, I think, from a point of view of time frame. So thanks for that question.
Yeah. The settlement report, how does it work? I think.
Okay, I hope I'm not going to be too boring. So it's actually pretty easy. There's not much to say about it. You get the settlement report from your Amazon account. You are uploaded in Celigo. You press a button, and then you just need to sit and wait for all the payments to run through into NetSuite that will get automatically assigned to the invoice or the cash sale that you have outstanding. And then a second flow will run, and it will import all the refunds in the same file. And again, they will be automatically assigned to your invoice or cash sale. And then in NetSuite, you also have a summary report where you'll see all the transactions that have gone through that specific settlement report, and you can then just address any exception, any transaction that haven't been applied correctly. But it's just as easy as that, and it really changed the accounting life that before was having a spreadsheet on one screen and another on the other screen, and just having to match them all.
That was a massive time saving for you guys, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
absolutely.
Can you just talk to us about how often you did those reconciliations previously, and how much time they took versus how much time they take now?
We used to do it every month because it was just kind of a month-end process. But now, because we extract the payments from Amazon every week, so we get a settlement report every week, so we try to keep on top of it on a weekly basis. So
I think it's worth saying as well, it's not just the time that it saved, it's actually enabled us to do that piece of work how it should be done. Mm-hmm. So before we were taking a very high level view, sales are this from Amazon, and we've got cash back of about the same. We're doing thousands of transactions every month. Mm-hmm. So it's an impossible job to pay someone to match every single transaction. But we were just saying, yeah, it's about right, which is okay. But yeah, we want to know a bit more than that, and that's what. So it's much more the functionality than the time saving. We're now able to do the job that we were wanting to do before, and that's what the settlement reports allowed us to do.
Okay, thank you.
So one more is, what other marketplaces are you looking at?
Then that's one for us. So Amazon is our primary marketplace. Probably doesn't come as a surprise to anybody, but our products are also available on eBay, not on the high street here in the UK, at Mano Mano in France. At the moment we run not on the high street and Mano Mano as manual integrations with NetSuite, simply because they are a relatively small part of our business. And the focus was very much on the Amazon and the eBay marketplaces to ensure they were live. In terms of what's next, I suppose we wait and see to a certain extent, but there's where Amazon go, I guess Lights for Fun won't be far behind.
Thanks, Kieran. But I think, is that
Yeah,
all?
that's if and we do have a few minutes left. If anyone online would like to ask a question, please go ahead via the chat. I think you went, while we're waiting for that, you'd also mentioned that looking at the platform to integrate other systems like your customer support system.
Absolutely, yes. So we use Zendesk as our customer experience system, and we're able to, on our roadmap, we do have a view as to whether we can integrate Zendesk into NetSuite via the Celigo connector. And the benefit there is we don't need to buy a NetSuite license and then a Zendesk license for our customer experience team. They can purely work off Zendesk, but we as a business can be safe in the knowledge that all that information is coming into NetSuite, and therefore we still maintain that one central hub of all of our business data.
And if I can jump onto the discovery that you mentioned before, I think it was a very, very good exercise for the client more than for you guys, because it really makes you ask the question as to why you're doing something and just you're doing it. So I think it was really good in terms of understanding actually not only what we wanted there and then, but what our perspective towards the future.
Yeah,
Look towards.
we didn't want to build a new system that just replicated our existing processes, and that's what we got out of those 4 to 6 weeks.
It's a lot. It's a big exercise of asking why rather than just what and how. So it was definitely really good.
Okay, great. Well, Kieran, Frederica, thanks for coming in today. Carl, thanks for joining us. Thank you all for taking the time out of your afternoon to listen to what we've got to say. I'm Mark Godliman. I'll send out a copy of today's presentation recording so that you have that for future reference. My contact details are on this final slide. Please feel free to reach out and ask any questions that you might have for us in the future. Thank you all for attending. Thank you.
Thank you.